Sarah Bennett.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much for agreeing to be part of this Sculpt and Flow's very first podcast season.
Very excited, everyone.
It's so nice to have you here. And your unique pod, which is how to find self-love and heal with Sculpt and Flow. So where I'd like to, first of all, ask you how you're doing. How are you doing?
I'm well. Yeah, I'm pretty good. All things considered. Yeah.
Off for a nice lunch after this? Got the day off work?
Yes, I've got the day off work, which would be really lovely. And a friend gifted us a lovely Signal Box voucher, so we're off down there.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. Well, what I thought we could start with today, if it's all right with you, is just letting us know, as particularly, obviously I know a lot about your journey, but could you let our listeners know how you found Sculpt and Flow, which is a great story, how you found us, and how you got kind of off the starting blocks with, so there's the stage of finding us, and then there's I'm gonna do this. So could you tell us and the listeners a bit about that, please?
Absolutely. I lost my mum in 2021 after a long cancer journey. And after that happened, I was sort of leaning into things that weren't really very good for me. I wasn't exercising like I used to. Sort of drowning my sorrows in wine and things like that. Anyway, my sister-in-law dragged me away in 2022 to a little football fundraising thing, and it was the end of the night and there were only two gifts left, and of course everyone goes for the really radical big things with cellophane and everything, and at the end there were only two little gifts left, and this was a supermarket brand exercise elastic thing, and I thought, I'll just take that thinking that was all it was going to be. And to my great surprise, the next day when I turned it over, it was a Sculpt and Flow $500 voucher. I just couldn't believe it. It was sent to me from somewhere, from the universe, I suppose. So that was in the July, and I was still in my same frame of mind, ruminating in grief and things like that. And then it got to the November of that year, and I just decided I was going to go and give it a try and see what happened. And in my mind, I thought, I'm just going to save that till January. But I met Chris, and then I met Bex, and I did a few sessions. I think I did a whole week. No, a month, wasn't it? A month. I think
it was a month. Yeah.
A month of the sessions. So that took me through to December, and I thought, why wait? Why just have a Christmas off and be gluttonous and do all of those things? I'm only going to make my commitment to what I was wanting to do a little bit harder. So I just went at it from the November forwards. I signed up as a full member at the end of that year. I learnt at the end of that year that my daughter was pregnant with her third child, and I'd promised for the previous two that I wouldn't consume alcohol in support of her pregnancy. Failed miserably on the first two, but there was a bit of grief involved, as I've mentioned. And anyway, I just decided to do 2023 alcohol-free. And that's just where everything just kicked in. And as a result of coming to Sculpt and Flow, I've learnt so much about myself. I previously worked out in a CrossFit space, but really didn't get the results that I wanted. Yes, I was fitter. I had a sense of community, but it didn't really change my body the way that I wanted it to. So the beauty of Sculpt and Flow, as the name suggests, you've got the two aspects of your training, and they go side by side. A lot of people think they just do strength training and Pilates or yoga isn't for them, but it's really such a holistic approach. So my lifting game changed immensely once I'd made a commitment to the ongoing Pilates, which I love. I love my Wednesday sessions with Bex on my own, and we also do a Thursday session in a collective group as well. And for my personal training sessions, I've just been able to get so many gains as a result of having that holistic approach to my health. I guess in addition to that, what else do I get from Sculpt and Flow is two wonderful business owners that are committed to their journey themselves and to the journey of everyone in their community, and a wonderful PT that's been with us for a few months now, Emily, and she's just amazing. And under Bex and Chris's wonderful guidance, she has just blossomed into the most awesome trainer. She's absolutely amazing.
She is amazing. She's incredible.
She is. She's very young, and I think, some of us are, her parents' age and that, and for someone quite so young, that's been daunting. But with the expert, coaching and support that Em's received from Chris and Beck. She's just gone in leaps and bounds, as has everybody else I know that comes to this beautiful space to work out. It's awesome.
Thank you,
really
Sarah.
Awesome.
And one thing you mentioned there was, and why it's such a pleasure, one of the many pleasures of working with you is, and we'll delve into this a little bit, because I think it's also reflective in your results, because you've had amazing results. You are someone who does embrace all aspects of Sculpt and Flow. So as Sarah's mentioned, you do strength training. You've also embraced your Pilates for your core strengthening, and you've also embraced the yoga. Can I ask, Sarah, was this something that you intended when you started with us? Like, did you come on board, and when you say having your trial or just seeing, checking it out, seeing if you like what we do, was it always with that in impression that you would go and dive into all three modalities, or is that something that's evolved for you along the course of the journey that you've had with us, which is, what did you say, a couple of years?
Nearly 3 years.
3 years, wow.
Yeah, I think it's 3 years in November. I joined in November 2022.
Amazing.
Yeah. No, I think I was really just focused on the strength side of things.
Yes.
I was really keen to do...
Because you'd come from CrossFit, you said, didn't you?
Yeah. And I loved CrossFit, but I just didn't get the results that I wanted. And that's because I didn't have... we did stretching and things like that, but I didn't get from that kind of stretching the stuff that I get from Pilates. And it wasn't long I started doing the strength, and I think in the new year I decided to change my membership and see what the Pilates was all about, especially the reformer. I'd done mat Pilates before on my own, probably about 20 years ago. I think an old American lady that had a brand out at the time, and I had all the DVDs, and I was quite committed to it. And I did that before CrossFit, so it wasn't until I sort of got on the Sculpt and Flow journey that I realised that the Pilates in particular would become very, very beneficial to my lifting techniques. And yeah, I know that's really, I know when we work together, as you said, with our Wednesday sessions. So one of the awesome things about working with Sarah is we work a lot on the classical Pilates system, which without going into it in too much detail is fairly, it's authentic and it's fairly precise. So yes.
We're looking for like deep connection in the body, which is where my eagle eye comes in. But yeah, would you say that has obviously had a really positive impact in how you're lifting? Because you said you
absolutely.
came from, was it you had an injury, a back injury?
I had a lower back injury from doing a deadlift at the end of a workout. I sort of got a bit of a protruded disc from that, and just the way that I used to lift wasn't as functional as I wanted it to be. And I think going on to the reformer and learning to stretch tendons, and I just love all the exercises now, I'm addicted to it, really just help with my flexibility, range of motion, in particular my wrists, my knees and my ankles, which is fundamental to be able to lift correctly. What I didn't realise, and what I have gained so much benefit from, is the core strength from Pilates. You can throw, Olympic weightlifting around and pick things up, but if you haven't got that core strength, then, that's when you're at risk of injury. And I'm quite certain had I had Pilates fitness when I did that deadlift, perhaps I wouldn't have got that injury, because I wasn't engaging my core as much as I do now after training on the reformer. I'm a bit of a particular person. I'm a teacher in an adult learning environment, so attention to detail is very paramount to me. It's also my star sign. So I love working really closely with Bex in regards to the fine, like what I've learnt from Pilates, it's not major movement. It's these minute little movements that work so deeply within the body that give the outer muscles that more functionality. I just love it. And I'll sort of have a brain moment with Bex, and we'll be doing a particular exercise, and I'll go, oh, that's my transverse abdominals kicking in, and she gets really excited.
Get so excited.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's like every, it's such a, it's not just a pleasure, it's a real dream come true when you start like working with someone like yourself who is not just embracing it, but you're really finding those connections and utilizing them and having the joy in finding them. So first of all, thank you, because
thank
I'd have
you.
a very boring job if people like yourself weren't so, as you said, being a Virgo and being so precise, which I love. And I'm sure you won't mind me telling this, that Sarah's very good at talking herself through the exercises as well. Okay, I'm going to squeeze my bum, pull my tummy in, do all the things. But I'm on the sidelines absolutely loving that, because I know that you're learning and listening, and also, which we'll get to, you are getting the results. If I may, before I ask you a few more questions just about your what you've been before this, and your journey as well, off of the mat, in relation to this pod, which is about finding your self-love and healing, and I'll elaborate particularly on the Pilates side and yoga side of things. But can I ask you to share with me and with the listeners how you feel that the practice that you've had with us has helped that journey, that of self-love and heal? Are you happy to talk to us about that?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. It's helped me immensely. I sort of fell into grief from an anticipatory point of view. My mother had a diagnosis back in 2015, and for me, I mean, we all know that we're going to lose people in our lives, but when someone gets a diagnosis, for me, it was like a ticking clock appeared above my mother's head, and it just got louder and louder and louder as closer to the time. So when she finally did pass away, I just felt being in this space and working really hard on myself, because it's like the oxygen in the plane. Like if you don't put that mask on, you can't help anybody else on the aircraft. So I had to be there for my family. I was quite a young mum. I've got 3 beautiful little grandboys, and I want to be able to run around with them and pick them up and love them and play with them as much as I can. So for me, it's more than just exercise. It's I'll probably get a bit teary now. It's changed my life. It's absolutely changed my life. I feel so much better about myself. I prioritize myself, and just putting the work in, the rewards are just endless in so many aspects of my life. And I'll be forever grateful that I turned up to that club in where I live and picked up this little gift at the end of the night, just thinking it was just something really simple that I was probably going to put in a cupboard and never use. And who would know 3 years later, the benefits that I've had from being involved in this community has just been priceless. Like I can't put a dollar figure on it. It's just so much more than that.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
And do you know what? I didn't realise until you were talking about it too, that it was the next day that you actually saw it. Yes, that's incredible. Yeah. That's even more incredible.
I know.
So you picked it up, but you also didn't see it until the next day. That's brilliant.
And I sort of sat there and, in grief you do, ruminate a lot. Ruminate a little. And it sat there, and I left it on the dining room table, like as a reminder every morning to do something about it. And then it was before Melbourne Cup Day. That's a big day for me. I love a good day out on Melbourne Cup Day. So I decided to join before that. And I did go to Melbourne Cup. I had a fairly big day, but I trained the next day. And I thought to myself that Wednesday morning, if I can do that, then I can just keep doing this. And so, I've had a solid commitment. I go 4 days a week. It was 5, but some things changed. So I've got a bit of a different schedule now, and I absolutely love it. It's just benefited me. And I've made some friends, not only Bex and Chris and Em, but other people in our community. And, the groups aren't large. You feel included. It's just such a different space to where I was working in a CrossFit environment.
I'm so glad you're enjoying it.
Yeah, I love it.
And we will, we definitely will cover your results, because Sarah's had some really epic ones.
Yeah.
And I just have to say before we continue too that, I hope that and I think you are anyway, but along the lines of like your own self-love, I know that you are really proud of yourself for making the decision to keep showing up and to get it to that point where, as you're talking about, it's part of who you are.
Absolutely.
And that is, yes, we're guiding that, but you've made that happen. So I hope that when you have lunch today, I hope that you just sit there, have a nice glass of something, and give yourself few pats on the back for, you're making this happen, and you are an inspiration to your peers. And, so that's that from us to you as well. Thank you, because it's a joy to have you in the community with us too, because you are someone that people love to be around. You're inclusive. You're in an inclusive environment, and you're being inclusive to everybody else, which is like win-win.
Yeah.
So you might, in terms of our connection relationship, I think it was important for me to, and I know it's the same for Chris and Em, to say thank you to you, because you're a superstar, and thanks for being part of what we do. I was hoping I could ask you, if you're okay, to elaborate a little bit more on your journey before you came to us. And this is quite a broad spectrum of subject topic here. So, you can choose, obviously, what you want to elaborate on. But sort of where you were when you came on board, the journey with us, and then maybe, and also into your goals of where you see yourself going. And just on top of that, and I'll mention, we were talking about your physical benefits, but part of the reason I love working with you is you are someone that's also, you're very grounded in the real, the three-dimensional, and you're also, I think particularly with the passing of your mother and father, that there's that connection to the other world.
Absolutely.
Is there anything in that very broad spectrum that you'd like to share with us? I guess I'm, for the listeners too, intrigued in how finding self-love and healing with us actually at Sculpt and Flow has helped your journey sort of in life, I guess.
Oh, it's helped me immensely, especially navigating my grief. Prior to starting with Sculpt and Flow, as I mentioned, I was really caught up in it. I was self-sabotaging, all of those kind of things, not exercising, not feeling good about myself. And because I previously felt reasonably okay about my physicality and my fitness when I did CrossFit, I sort of had 4 or 5 years off. And I was just feeling lethargic, and I could see the inflammation. I could feel my face getting fatter. My stomach protruded right out. I just felt really, really uncomfortable. I'm blessed to be a smaller frame person, but at the same time, when you do put on a little bit of weight, it feels immense. And I felt really uncomfortable, and just sort of looking in the mirror and feeling self-loathing. And so that then cut off all of those pathways to a higher sense of self and spirituality and things like that. So I feel working with Bex, especially on a Wednesday on our own, that's really opened up that space for me. I've had some other things in the background helping me navigate grief. It's been a really tough time. After I did lose my mum, I had a father with dementia, still living in his own home, and that's been a 4-year journey that just ended recently with the passing of my father. But I feel I've been able to manage that situation so much better because Sculpt and Flow has been in my everyday life, and it's allowed me to navigate those really difficult, tough times in and around losing a parent and then caring for another one that also had a ticking clock above his head. So, I've been changing my autonomy in my workspace. So if I have a trip away and I can't make mat Pilates on a Thursday, I've now been invited by Bex to attend on a Friday morning. I have a husband that's just recently become a yoga teacher. Awesome. And it's fantastic. And I've always had this sense of spirituality about myself. And I think I moved away from that in the ensuing years, dealing with mum and dad and things like that. So, what the work we do on a Friday is just amazing. And I've sort of come in at the end of it. I can't wait to come back next year and start from the bottom and work our way up again. Or we might start at the top and work our way down. Who knows? But, I've certainly learned to harness a higher sense of myself in all of this.
Sorry,
you got to put yourself first. You really do. As selfish as it sounds, you can't help anyone else. You can't love anyone else unless you love yourself. And before I won that golden ticket, I like to call it, I was full of self-loathing, definitely full of self-loathing.
And you mentioned just with the yoga that we'd started from the bottom and gone up, and just so the listeners know what we're talking about here, this year we've sort of had a theme at Sculpt and Flow with a lot of the yoga classes, depending on how people are feeling on the day. We've been working on your chakra system, which is an 8 energetic body system, wisdom centers, let's call them. So it's been a really interesting journey to share with everybody, and certainly with someone like yourself, Sarah, that, as I said, is doing strength training and working through strength methods and all that comes with that, and then also stepping into the space on a Friday, and then going into this much more what I call sort of energetics.
Yeah.
Can I ask, with those things in mind, if you're happy to, has this found itself into, because I know that you've obviously got a lot of medical experience with your job.
Yeah.
Are you happy to share? You talked about how you have to go away and how that can go with, you can take your training with you, whether it's an online class, etc. How has this impacted you? How's your journey with us impacted your work environment?
I've definitely got more autonomy than I used to think that autonomy was something that needed to be given, and it's taken me a little while to realise it's something that you take for yourself. So
good for you.
Yes, I'm always asking Chris for programs, and Bex puts things online for me that I can do while I'm away. I primarily travel to the North Coast and the New England, so it's just such a habit now. It's like I don't feel right if I don't exercise during the week. It's just it's a given. There's no excuse for it. I just have to get up and get it done. I've had a couple of other influences. A little thing in my mind is like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just jump out of bed. Don't press snooze. Just get up and take hold of the day. And what it's given me training really early in the morning, especially on Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays, is space for me. Like the drive from the gym back home is just so beautiful. I see 3 sunrises every week. I probably see more now because I just naturally wake up that early, and it's just such a special part of the day. It really is. And I used to experience it when I would do night shift, and you'd be falling asleep at 3 a.m. and then the dawn would start and you'd get your final wind, and then the shift would end and you'd go home to sleep for the day. So it's certainly given me so much more in every day. And being away, just taking that autonomy. And if I've had a really, really big week, then it's okay just to start late on a Friday and go to yoga. And I've sort of been tending to do that a little bit more.
Well, I think you're doing really well with that, because what you're, I guess along the way, what you're finding is how you can change and rearrange which modality you're doing on what day, not just depending on, whether you've done strength the day before and then you need to, give yourself a, more of a rest day or a restorative day the next day, but also depending on how you're feeling or what you're navigating, how you can chop and change accordingly, which you're doing really well. So well done.
Thank you.
I've got a couple of little figures here I thought you might be interested in, just as some stats, because as I've mentioned, I think you're a really good example of someone who's embracing all elements of the strength training, the stretch and release, and the core strength, which is obviously a big part of our what we're about at Sculpt and Flow. And so I thought I'd just throw a few figures at you and see what you think, see what your opinion of them is. So this is according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics. Between the ages of 18 and 64, 27.9% of people engage in strength training, with over 84% of over 65s who don't do strength training at all. I'm going to ask your opinion on that in a minute. I'll just carry on with the figures.
Sure.
Yoga and Pilates. Guess what? Guess. This isn't a test. The test. Not. So combined, what do you think? This is in Australia, obviously.
Yeah.
What do you think the combined stat of people that practice yoga and Pilates? So, combined, not just yoga, not just Pilates, but both.
Oh, I'd say less than 10%.
You're bang on. So it's about 4
really?
points. So you're less than 10%. We're at 4.5%.
Oh, that makes me sad inside.
It is sad.
Yeah.
But in terms of, and again, as your coach, I'm going to bring it back to you. This is, again, when you're having your lunch, you give yourself another big pat on the back for being one of the people that's like, well, you're not just, and it's not just seeing the benefits, but you're making it happen for you, because you can be on the sidelines talking about the benefits and know that you've got to do it, but you're in the step of doing it, which is hopefully empowering for you. Have these? Oh, sorry. What I want to ask you about that first is, what do you think about those stats? Do you think they sound feasible? And second of all, in regards to what you do you think you see that in people? And I know we've spoken about taking bloods and etc. And I know there's a whole stratosphere of your work that I don't know about. But do you think you can see this in people? Can you tell when you're working with people, talking to testing for XYZ, would you be able to say that person doesn't do any, they need some strength,
absolutely.
or they don't do any yoga, or they're
Yes.
only in their sympathetic nervous system, they need to get into the parasympathetic? Yes, so it's
Every
a very
day,
long question.
I see people like every day I see people like that in my workplace.
And how does it present? It's like, how do you know, how does it present itself?
You know, younger people, I'm 55 and I see women that are younger than me and they're stiff. They can't move properly. It's hard to get up and down on a chair. They seem inflamed. Clinical notes reveal a lot about a patient as well. There's lots of fatigue, obesity, diabetes, mellitus, chronic kidney disease, like, you know, all the major diseases are out there every day walking around. And yeah, I just feel it's just sad. I think people are misinformed and don't understand the benefits. Makes me smile on a Saturday when I walk around my hometown and there's all these little kids running around doing sport and all these people that should be doing it with them. And, you know, that's really sad that they install this physicality and sports and, you know, teamwork and all of that in kids every Saturday and Sunday, but yet their parents aren't looking like that in their older years, which is really sad. I just feel really sad about that. Yeah.
Do you think, I was just, you know, particularly obviously because it's the area that I work with you on with yoga and Pilates. Can I ask why do you think like there's less than 4.5% of people that engage in both of them? What do you think that's about?
I don't know. I think people just have a misconception or a preconception, I should say, that exercise isn't for everyone, and yeah, they don't sort of try it. And just as a little example, my husband was doing yoga in the front yard and some couple of retired people where we live started to join him, and now he's got old blokes yoga.
Oh, brilliant.
And they love it. You know, they trying really hard to move better and stretch more and things like that. But it's only that they walk by, but they wouldn't go in their social circle and say, oh, I think I'm going to go and do yoga, because everyone turns around and go, oh, what do I want to do that for? You know, that kind of thing. I just think, yeah, people are just, I don't know, not enlightened to the benefits of movement. It's just, you know, our bodies are designed to move. That's why we've got long legs and short bodies. We're meant to be, you know, moving around. It's so beneficial for you. Just, you know, releases endorphins and dopamine, and, you know, you can move away from those short acting great feelings that we get from, you know, having a drink and things like that, gambling. You can get all of that by moving your body. It's so amazing.
And hats off to you again, because certainly when you're navigating your way through grief, and I, you know, for anyone listening, I don't say this is not from a judgmental point of view to anyone. I'm the last person in the world to come from that place, but you've chosen to navigate your way through that grief through feeling it. Is that fair to say? So
yeah, definitely.
You've chosen, okay, well, and I'm going to keep moving, but I'm going to use my movement to work myself through, over, under, all around what I'm feeling mentally, spiritually, emotionally, as opposed to deciding, well, I'm just going to numb it.
Absolutely. That's where I was at the very beginning, Bex.
Which I can, you know, all of us, I'm sure everyone can relate to that. That the hardest, let's call it substance drug, whatever you want to call it, the hardest one of all is sobriety, is facing it. And again, no judgment here, but it's true. You know,
absolutely,
to go.
yep.
So again, kudos to you, because you're using just out of interest. Do you find that you can move through the grief and the emotional pathway that you're navigating? Do you work yourself through that in your strength as well?
Oh, absolutely.
Brilliant.
After Mum died and I wasn't doing any exercise, I was just sitting around, you know, having another glass of wine and things like that. When my father passed away on the Monday, I trained Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I just kept on going. Like, you know, I was sad and I was crying inside and it was awful, and we were planning a funeral and family were coming up and being around and everything, but I still made that commitment, every morning. And I'm sure I navigated my father's initial passing a lot better than I did with my mum. Yeah.
And being really, I think, intentional and clever with it, like you are, because, you know, there might be, say, a perception of, oh, I can't, you know, I can't bring myself to lift any weights today. And tell me if I'm off on the wrong tangent here, but it sounds like from what you're saying is you're taking elements of, okay, well, I can take an element of being, kind to myself, or backing off a bit from my yoga.
Yeah.
Bringing in, right, okay, well, I'm going to make sure I really focus on my core, still going to the strength, still working into the strength training, but taking elements of it where you're still being kind to yourself, and not necessarily applying the attitude of just smashing yourself. Would that
That's
be fair
right. Yeah,
to say?
no, you shouldn't use exercise as punishment.
Yes,
it's medicine for you. It's medicine for you. It really is.
I agree. It could be such a shame that something that, as you're doing, it could be so nurturing and wonderful, turns into something where is punishing, and we wake up just going, oh, which we've spoken about before, in terms of activating your core, for example. Like, one of the pleasures, and for anyone that's listening, working with Sarah, as I've mentioned, is this precision to attention to detail. And one of the things we work on is your scoop. How to draw the lower tummy in and up. I'll try and keep this concise, because I could talk about a scoop for, and that's not a scoop of ice cream either, but for weeks. But in using that to help, support yourself in all the movements that you're making.
Oh, definitely.
Which is just, it's so important. I mean, that you're finding that strength and that stability. So if there's anyone listening, because you are, as I've mentioned, so on the ball with this, embracing all elements. If there's anyone sitting on the fence that's listening, kind of going, I'd love to give this a go, but is there anything that you could say as something that might help give them that little nudge?
Put your hand on the door and just put one foot forward. I mean, even before I did CrossFit in my 40s, my 30s, I wasn't particularly active. I liked walking. My husband and I did yoga occasionally. That's when I did my Pilates at home. I've always sort of done something, but I was scared to go to a gym. I didn't want to go. Like the reason I did CrossFit was that my sister-in-law's family are all avid water skiers, and I had no upper body strength whatsoever. So I started CrossFit in order to be able to water ski, and I achieved that goal. So if you really want something and you're frightened to get it, it's only up to you. No one is going to make this decision for you. No one's going to do the hard work for you. It's really just take a hold of your heart, trust in yourself, push open the door to the gym and just step inside. Even if that's the first thing you do when you turn up, you might just observe some people working out and go, oh, goodness me, go back again. Like, if you can make that initial commitment or take that first stair on that stairway up to, it's not about personal fitness. It's about a holistic thing, about loving yourself and being as kind to yourself in every single way. And, good nutrition, spirituality and moving, they're the things that, make us human. And it just seems silly for us to sit back and watch everyone else do it. So, yeah, take a hold of your heart, push the door and take the first step. That would be my little advice to everyone.
Brilliant. Golden nuggets.
Yes.
Those are brilliant. Sorry, what were you going to say?
And if you're working with Bex, like everywhere now, in the car, when I'm standing at work, if I'm sitting at the computer and I feel myself slouching, it's body posture, breath. Body posture, breath. It's ingrained into me now. So, and Bex always invites us to take something that we've learnt from Pilates or yoga off the mat into our daily life. And even, having good posture throughout the day is just, I don't feel as fatigued, if I'm sitting in the computer and I've got the mouse, I've got a stand-up desk now. I try to stand up, all of those kind of things. Yeah. Awesome. And I think it'd be, I have to mention some of your wins. In fact, I'd like you to mention them as well. But I shall kick us off. Okay.
I'll kick us off. So, and yeah, kudos to you. And the reason I think it's important to acknowledge this as well is that, many of us are very good at acknowledging all the time what we need to work on, myself included.
Yeah.
I'm very good at giving myself the next task. But I think it is really important that I'm learning too to sit down and acknowledge the wins, and make it intentional. It's a big word of mine at the moment. I'm loving it. Is intention. You can even intentionally be relaxed, but anyway, that's a whole new topic. But yeah, I feel that that you could be really intentional with allowing yourself to stop drinking for a whole 12 months. Tell us a little bit about that, Sarah. Where did that come from?
It came from not supporting my daughter the first 2 times because I failed. And I did it, I think, because Ashley was having her 3rd child, and I knew that my dad was getting to a point in his journey where it may not have been long. It was 2023, the year of alcohol-free. I just turned it around in my mind. So instead of going, I haven't had, this much to drink today, I would picture bottles of wine in a particular place in my home. So let's just say, for an example, on average, let's just say 7 bottles of wine a week. Okay, that added up to a box of wine in a week and a half. I had another 51 weeks to go. Do you know how big that box of wine was at the end of the year? And I didn't consume any of it. I didn't buy the wine either. It wasn't there waiting for me to crack back on when I finished. And I didn't substitute. People said, Sarah, there's lots of non-alcoholic things out there. And no, I didn't want to do that. I bought a particular brand of sparkling water, and I had that every evening in the same wine glass that I loved with a slice of lemon. And after the first week, I just have the first sip, and then I didn't think about the wine. It's about the ritual. And so I just substituted with water, and my nails grew better. My hairdresser still marvels because I don't have very good hair, but in that year my hair thickened up. It grew more than it ever had before. My skin, the benefits of not drinking are so great. They really, really are. Wow. And to do that in conjunction with everything, I was 2023, so I'd only been at the gym a couple of months. So really I allowed myself to suck in or take in all of the beautiful golden goodness that this space has with Bex and Chris, and to allow that to be taken in by my body and see the results. It was absolutely phenomenal.
Well done. Well done. When you were just portraying that initial image, I was just imagining this mountain of bottles of wine, and there's a...
But when you think about it like that, you don't realise day after day, just a couple here and a couple there. And
absolutely.
Yeah, even my brother and my sister-in-law haven't had a drink since Dad passed away, and they love a beer. And, after they got married, some people were emptying the recycling at the wedding venue, and the lady said, gee, your family drink a lot. Because there were so many beer bottles. And that's just the average Australian, life kind of thing. And we just get caught up in, I don't know, the social acceptance of it. I'm not against alcohol. I've still continued to drink now, but I'm so much more measured. Yeah. And I take pleasure out of it now. It's not a activity of daily living that I have to have. So I'm really proud of that fact. Yeah.
And you spoke before, and we've chatted about this before, that before you lost, can you let us know how much weight you lost in total?
I was 66 kilos when I started, and my weight now sits at 58.
And would you think that a large part of the weight that you carried before was alcohol?
Oh yeah, it was a big hormone belly. Yep, full of sugar, all the sugar from the alcohol, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger.
What was the expression you used that you felt like you had what on your tummy? And
a keg? Was it a keg?
Was it a keg? A keg on your tummy and your beer cans on
my boobs, yeah. And I can say, since I've resumed moderate drinking, I have put a little bit of weight back on my abdomen, and it's certainly from the alcohol. It's just useless calories, but it is. Yeah.
Well, well done for the journey, though. Again, it's one thing saying you're going to do it, knowing the benefits of doing it, but once again, it's that stepping in.
Yeah.
Just lastly, can I ask on that journey with regards to self-love and healing, with those choices that you've made, has your close circle, do you feel that people were with you on that journey? Did you feel like you got, just out of interest, did you face judgment over deciding that you didn't want to drink? Because that can be a big thing for people.
Yeah, I think Ashley announced her pregnancy just after Christmas, and so it was on New Year's Eve that I sort of told my close circle of friends, and they're like, oh my goodness, blah, blah, blah. This is not going to be great. I said, I'm coming tomorrow on New Year's Day, and I won't be drinking, and you'll just have to all enjoy sober Sarah, because everyone loves Sarah when she's had a couple of wines. And I thought, if I can do that one day, and we went there at 11 o'clock, we had a lovely lunch, everyone was drinking, and I got through that day without a drink, and I thought, it's going to be well, I'm not going to say it was easy, but my mindset was, if I can do this day, New Year's Day, I faced it head on, I can do the other 364 days, and I did.
And you did. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done. And
it was an amazing thing for me.
yeah,
it really
and all
was.
your accomplishments. And I hope that, genuinely, I'll reiterate it, I hope you are going to give yourself that big pat on the back and celebrate you.
Thank you.
Because, it's an amazing journey that you're on.
Oh, well, I couldn't have done it without you guys. Like, I know, I've got self-drive and things like that, but you need people that facilitate that for you. And, there are some times where I don't feel like giving it as much as I do. That's not very often, but Bex and Chris and Em will just, I don't know, say something, and then that'll just spur me on a bit to try a little bit harder and get what I need to achieve. And without them, I wouldn't be sitting here in this body as it is now. Like, I just love you guys so much.
Thank you. Oh, we love you too.
And you've become our friends. Like, it's more than just, a workout space. It really is. Yeah.
It's a community, isn't
Absolutely.
it? Absolutely. Support.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
No, thank you.
We really, really do appreciate your time. Thank you for sharing your journey with us, Sarah.
Oh, my pleasure.
And you have
Anytime.
a lovely day off.
Thank you. I
Thank
will.
you.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Bye-bye, and I hope to see you all in the space very, very soon. You'll be more than welcome.